Hey guys, this is Production Music Live, and today we are writing some chord progression and melody for progressive house. And we will recreate the track from One Republic, If I Lose Myself, a Lasso remix. So this will be more a modern kind of progressive house track. If you're interested in those old-fashioned progressive house melodies with those nice plugs and stuff, just leave a comment. This is my MIDI track. Here I will draw in the MIDI information, and those plugs are playing actually the sound. What you have to do is, normally this is on all in, like you can see here, and then you choose a different input. Like in my case, I choose the MIDI plug input, and then you have to set it on in, and you're ready to go. So the track we will recreate is written in B minor. And if you watched previous tutorials about writing chords and stuff, you might have noticed that we always used the A minor or the C major scale for visual purposes, because they are using just the white notes on your keyboard. So for this track, we will stay in B minor, but as you can see here, I am pitching up this MIDI track here for 2 semitones. So we can draw in the notes like we would in A minor. And this is what I recommend you. First learn one minor and one major scale so that you know it inside out. You can always like pitch up and down your MIDI information afterwards, but you know where you are in your scale and what kind of chord is playing. So I hope this doesn't confuse you too much. So now let's say we are in A minor, and we will start right away with A minor again, like we did in previous tutorials as well. So it's always nice to start with your root. And well, let's quickly review the scale of A minor. It is basically all the white notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A again. A is your root note, and this A is your root note as well, just an octave higher. So, and how do we build basic chords? Well, you always take your root note, then your 3rd degree note in the scale, and your 5th, and you end up with a basic chord. And we can do this, for example, with the C. We go C, D, E, F, G. So, and as you can see, those 2 chords are slightly different, and because this is a minor chord and this is a major chord, and you can see that because of it starts with a minor 3rd and ends up with a major 3rd. So from A to C it's a minor 3rd, and from C to E a major, and the major chord is starting with a major 3rd and ends up with a minor 3rd. Okay, if you want to learn more about music theory, check out the link in the description. We made a course about harmony and chord progression. Let's go down to A, and we're building the basic A minor chord, and let's listen in. So by the way, as you can see, those plugs here, they have a send effect on, and we can see our reverb here, and it's pretty long reverb with some high cut, and we have a sidechain afterwards. Later on we will activate this EQ here, and then it will sound even more like the original. So okay, let's progress. First, we're doing the basic structure, and we are going down the scale to an F, and we're playing an F major in this case. So it goes. And then we're going up to the C. So F major, F, the 3rd and the 5th, major 3rd makes the major chord, and then we are moving to the C, and we are playing this a little longer, and then going up to the D, and then everything repeats again. So this is a typical progression, holding the third chord longer and then dropping in the fourth to come back to the one chord. Let's make a C major chord. We go C and then E and G, and we need a bass note as well. And then we have a D, and okay, let's do a D chord. I don't know which chord it will be. Let's have a look. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and we can see minor third here. So it's a minor chord and therefore a D minor. Okay, so let's listen in how this sounds. So not so exciting till now. Well, let's start to invert those chords. Let's talk quick about inversions. Like I said, we have a basic F major chord here, and if I take this lower bass F root note and pitching it up an octave, we will end still with an F major chord, because we have an F, we have an A and a C in there, but in its first inversion. So if I take this A and transpose it up, we have still an F major chord starting with C, F and A, and we have the second inversion. And if I transpose the C up here again, we are back to the basic F major chord, just an octave higher than before. So let's pitch this down and this one up. What we are trying is finding certain notes that can play throughout the whole progression. Those two chords are too low now. Let's transpose them up. Let's listen in again. So I'm pretty sure you heard those three chords here before, and this D here now sounds a little strange, but we will work this inside of our progression. In progressive house, you're not using those big chords like you do, for example, in future bass, but of course you're not using just the basic chords, and we will start here adding this G in, which gives us an A minor 7th chord, because the G is the 7th degree of the A minor scale starting from A. If I would start from G, it would just be an octave, and if I am starting from like an F, it would be the 2nd degree. So it depends always from which note you're starting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, like I said before, it's always nice to have some notes playing throughout the whole progression. And we can see, for example, the C here is part of the A minor, of the F major, and of the C major. And therefore, it's those three chords here are sounding so nice in this progression. So let's try to find other notes. For example, we could copy this G. Let's listen in. This last chord here sticks a little bit out, and what we can try is just going down here. We are not playing the 5th here anymore. We could play it an octave low, for example, and then adding this D. So we have still a D minor chord, but now we changed it to an D minor, add 4 chords. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We added the 4th degree of the A minor scale starting from D. Okay, why not even taking this here up to an C? So the C and this G is playing throughout the whole progression now. Let's listen in. Okay, nice. Before we progress now, let's add in the melody which is playing on the top. So not the main melody, but the melody of the chords. And it goes like, it goes from E down to D, and then E again, and again, and again. And then we have change here. Instead of the D, we are playing a G, and then we just copying this throughout the rest of the progression, and let's have a listen. So I'm wrong. This should be an F. Let's listen in again. Okay, nice. It's already sounding a bit like we know from the track If I Lose Myself. So we could take even other notes. For example, we could, of course, the A would work. We could go like A and G, and A and G here again. And so on. This would work as well. But the G, F wouldn't work that fine. So this note is totally out of scale. We have to adjust this, and this is not sounding so nice here. Because we don't have any release here in our first chord. It's important that this A minor chord is kind of your release chord, your resting point or your starting point. And when we are playing this G here, we have right away tension, a lot of tension, and then we have even more tension with this F, because this F is fighting with the fifth of A minor. Now we're making some little adjustments here. We are adding this C here every time the E is playing, and on the last step as well. And I think we could do that here as well. So, and then we want to support this D here a little bit. So we are playing even an octave lower, like here, and here as well, and even here. Let me activate this EQ here, so we have more this feeling of the original. We are supporting this D here as well in the C major chord. Yeah, let's listen in again. So, and this last D chord is sounding a bit dense, and this is because those 4 notes are pretty near together, and this is somehow too tight, especially when we are playing this E up here. So you can just deactivate this D and giving it a little more space. And this C as well. So, and here we are, we have the first progression of the verse. A good idea is always to start with basic chords, finding some progression and then just inverting them, finding some notes which can be played throughout the whole progression, and then you're adding some notes like melody notes and some in between. And you're ending up with a nice sounding chord progression. Let's add in the bass as well to make it sound even better. We're just copying those root notes here, and we are going to this bass here and pasting it in. So this is too low. And this is too high, so we can change this like this. So it's going down, and then we are playing an octave higher, those last two chords. Okay, so let's copy the whole progression and supporting it with some nice pad sounds. And now, of course, this is too dense, so we are deleting those top notes here. Those pads just have to support the plugs and not playing this melody up there. So we can do something like this, and we can delete even this D inside here. So we do not need this G here. Okay, nice. So we are just copying this and pasting it to this pad. So let's draw in the progression for the MIDI saws that are supporting the melody. And the progression is now a little bit different than in the verse. We are starting still with an A, so A, C, and E. Then we are moving down to an F as well. So let's do that quick. We already did this. A. And then we are moving to the C, playing this a little bit longer, and here comes the change. We are not going down to an D minor, but to an G major. So let's draw in a G major. We're going G, B, and D, and we're not playing it this low. So, and we inverting it, still in G major chord. And this one we're inverting as well. we're moving up this, so it looks a lot smoother. So now we know our root notes, and we will draw this in for the bass. We're starting with A, and the bass pattern goes like this. And then it goes down to it goes down to an F, up to an C, and down to an G. And well, let's copy those and let's paste them in here as well. And we are shortening this a little bit, and let's have a listen. If I'm playing it with the original melody, you will recognize it. Let's have a listen. So now first we will try to find some rhythm. So you can go for something like, always good is triplets. So those are triplets, 2 steps in between. We can go on here, and then we can do something like this here. Okay. So, but we're not using the A, but we are using the E as our resting note, or at our basic note. And the E, as you might remember, is the 5th of A minor. So we're using this E here, like the original is doing. It's using this E here, as you can see. And then we will change some notes here later on. So let's copy this and let's have a listen. And now we are just taking some notes up and playing something like... So we're playing the 3rd and going down to the 5th. And this is of course working and sounding nice and progressive house-like. So now here we wanna move up here as well. So this is basic, and a basic chord note, this as well. And then we are building some tension here with an B, and then we are releasing to an C. So this should work. This goes basic note, some tension, release, basic note. Okay, let's listen in. We're doing the same thing here as well. By the way, let's take those chords here so we know what our chords are playing. We are just deactivating them by selecting them all and hitting 0 on your keyboard. Now this E changed from a basic root note of the chord underneath to the 7th chord. So this E is in 7th chord, and this is building some tension, and then it's releasing again because the E is again part of the C major. It's the 3rd of C major, as you can see here, C, E, and G. And then we have some tension here again, but we might change this melody here at the end. So a good melody has always some kind of repetition and then some kind of variation. Now we could of course play this like this here throughout the whole progression, but this would sound a bit boring. By the way, let's turn off this equalizer because we don't need this equalizer in this main part. So of course this is working, but let's go up here and maybe something like this. This would be tension note because it's not part of our C major basic note. And this is a releasing note here because it's in C again, an E again, sorry. Let's have a listen. So we have some repetition here, we have some variation here, and now we even need some variation in the rhythm. And we can do something like this. So we have a different rhythm at the end, and we can do something like this. Find your rhythm, know your scale, and always keep in mind you need some repetition, you need some variation, and you need some variation in your rhythm. And then we are going to our main part. So all those sounds are part of our Progressive House preset pack. Check out the link in the description. I hope you liked this tutorial. Subscribe to our channel, visit us on productionmusiclive.com, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.